NDP
documents
deal, Dan,
on the table.
Dan, they're signing the papers. Just a further clarification. The NDP has agreed to support the Liberals for 30 months. The Bloc Québécois, their agreement of support is for 18. So in effect, it's an 18-month deal.
Okay, you can see Stephane Dion, the leader of the federal Liberals, in the middle. And this is the man that may be poised. How long would it take, Mike, to become the next prime minister?
Not very long. The Governor General's away. We're told she's coming back on Saturday. Of course, you've got to have the vote on Monday, so there's actually something on the table.
That's a week
today, right? If there were a
right?
vote on Monday evening, a week today, the Prime Minister the next day would visit the Governor General and presumably tender his resignation, after which Mr. Dion would visit the Governor General and be sworn in, and we assume that same day or the day after would unveil his cabinet. So here they are.
En commençant par le chef du Parti libéral du Canada, M. Stephane Dion. The three leaders will now have a short statement, starting with the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, Mr. Stephane Dion.
Mesdames et messieurs,
ladies and gentlemen,
nous traversons une crise économique sans
we're going
précédent.
through an economic crisis that's without precedent. Everywhere in the world, workers are losing their jobs, losing their homes, losing their savings. Everywhere in the industrialized world, governments, regardless of their ideologies, are reacting robustly to this crisis. From Germany to China, from the UK to the US, governments have not crossed their arms and sat on their hands. They are now acting now to take measures to stimulate their economies and to help their citizens to face the crisis. This is what we're seeing everywhere, except in Canada. In Canada, we got a sad showing from Mr. Harper, who showed their lack of interest for the fate of their citizens, and poor accounting have become their commercial mark of their conservative approach to our economy. Since the last federal election, the government of Stephen Harper has shown that he has no plan, he has no skills, and he has no will to efficiently face this crisis. These last 2 weeks have shown the problem. The parliamentary budget leader shows a deficit, and the finance minister is hiding it by proposing cuts of an ideological nature. Canadians expected help from their government. They expected the government to understand the size of this crisis. The response of the Conservative government was to attack the rights of Canadians and offered absolutely no plan to face this crisis. Given the situation that we're in, that our citizens are facing, and the incapacity, the inability of the Harper government to respond to this critical situation, the opposition parties decided that the time to act had arrived. When it became obvious that Stephen Harper had lost the confidence of all the opposition parties in the House of Commons, preliminary discussions were held among the leaders of the NDP, the Bloc, and myself.
Based on the positive nature of those discussions, we agreed to enter into further negotiations to see if a stable and effective alternative could be found within this current Parliament. The three of us felt it was our responsibility to Canadians to explore this possibility. Canadians elected 308 members of Parliament in October, not just Stephen Harper. This is the Parliament they elected. We must try to make this Parliament work. After these negotiations, I'm very pleased to announce that we are ready to form a new government that will address the best interest of the people instead of plunging Canadians into another inaction. This will be a Liberal-led government in collaboration with the New Democratic Party and with the support of the Bloc Québécois. A new leader of the Liberal Party will be elected on May 2nd of 2009. And I am committed to handing to my successor a strong government for a stronger Canada. The documents upon which this arrangement is based are being released publicly. They consist on an agreement on the way the government will work for Canadians between the Liberal Party and the NDP, and an agreement on the policy principles of the new government signed by all the Liberal Party, the NDP, and the Bloc Québécois. The agreement between the Liberals and the NDP will see a small cabinet of 24 ministers plus the Prime Minister, with 6 of them to be named by the Prime Minister from the NDP caucus. We have agreed that, like the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister of the new government will come from the Liberal caucus. This agreement between the Liberals and the NDP will last until June 30th, 2011. The Bloc has agreed to support this arrangement until June 30th, 2010, at which point their support could be extended. The Bloc will not contribute any members to the government and will not be a formal part of the government. The policies that will be pursued by this new government will be founded on solid, fiscally prudent principles. The starting point of the federal government, unfortunately, is a deficit. This new reality does not reduce the necessity to stimulate the economy consistent with the understandings arrived at by all nations in the G20. We have committed not to enter into a long-term deficit, but we will act now to introduce a robust fiscal stimulus policy designed to help Canadians and Canadian businesses weather this storm. This stimulus package will include accelerated and new spending on infrastructure, home construction, home retrofit, and support for struggling sectors that can demonstrate a plan for future viability. The deal does not include a plan to cancel planned corporate income taxes. These reductions will proceed as scheduled. I am sure that all Canadians are now asking, what will happen now? Under Canadian Constitution, it is the Governor General's responsibility to inquire whether an alternative government could be formed that would have the confidence of the House of Commons. Aujourd'hui, mes chers
Today,
concitoyens,
my dear citizens, I inform Her Excellency, the Governor-General of Canada, the Very Honourable Michael Jean, of the accord that the opposition parties, given the economic difficulties that we are facing as citizens, and the fact that an election was held less than 2 months ago, I respectfully recommended to Her Excellency that she should, at her first opportunity, exercise her constitutional powers and invite the leader of the official opposition to form a new collaborative government with the support of the other 2 opposition parties. This government of collaboration will have the opportunity to show that it has the confidence of the House of Commons. The Liberal Party, our parties, are united in the efforts to put the interests of Canadians and Canada first and foremost. We will work relentlessly to present the economic plan that Canada so desperately needs and to implement it for the better of all Canadians of our great country. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur Dion. I will now ask Mr. Layton